we are here, so let's talk about the story of Gauteng. Gauteng, of course, for those perhaps who do not know, would perhaps best be easier referred to as the heart of the city of gold, the industry that built South Africa as we know it today. Gauteng is the biggest economic contributor to the economy of South Africa, with about a third of our GDP, with its manufacturing, mining, as well as now the motor industry. So today we're talking about the fifth, if not the sixth largest economy on the African continent. And to put that into context, Gauteng is almost 2/3 of Nigeria's GDP. Now, that may be a function of the devaluation that we saw in Nigeria, but it gives you the scale of the size of the economy that we're talking about and the opportunities that it continues to offer. So for our program today, we're going to bring you, first of all, the member of the Executive Council of the Gauteng Provincial Government, MEC Maile. After he has given us his opening address, we will give you a panel that's going to dissect into the opportunities and areas of growth in Gauteng. I see that our setup is complete. MEC, welcome to Rabat, Morocco. Virtually, you are in the heart of the Africa Investment Forum. And sir, the floor is yours to tell us what to look forward to if we think about Gauteng as an investment destination.
Thank you very much, and let me acknowledge the program director and acknowledge ambassadors and high commissioners, if we have any present, leaders of business organizations and CEOs that are present, representatives of multilateral agencies throughout the continent, the esteemed panelists, investors, ladies and gentlemen, and the citizens of our beautiful continent. The facilitator of this discussion, Mr. Godfrey Mtizwa of CNBC Africa. It is an immense honor and privilege to address this distinguished gathering here in Rabat, a city renowned for its deep historical roots and dynamic modernity. Today we converge as stakeholders in a common endeavor to advance investment, foster partnerships, and forge shared prosperity between South Africa's Gauteng province and our partners across Africa and the world. It is with great pride that I stand before you to present the story of Gauteng, a province that is not merely a regional powerhouse, but a vital link in Africa's journey to economic ascension. This morning, I will share why Gauteng is an indispensable partner for growth and investment, and why it is poised to play an even greater role in the global economy. Gauteng is the smallest of South Africa's 9 provinces by geographic size, yet its contributions to South Africa's economy and Africa as a whole are monumental. Despite its limited landmass, Gauteng generates a staggering 35% of South Africa's GDP and 7.5% of our continent's economic output. This makes it the undisputed economic heart of the nation and a vital contributor to Africa's economic output. But the significance of Gauteng goes beyond statistics. It is a province that drives progress, catalyzes innovation, and sets the pace for industrial and economic development on the continent. Gauteng accounts for 55% of South Africa's total exports and 65% of the nation's total import, underscoring its pivotal role as a trade hub. Home to the largest stock exchange in Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Gauteng is a global financial hub with a market capitalization of approximately $1.4 trillion, ranking it amongst the top 15 stock exchanges worldwide. With a real GDP of at least $130 billion, Gauteng contributes 7.5% of Africa's GDP ranking it as the 5th largest economic bloc on the continent, roughly the size of Morocco and just behind Algeria. Gauteng boasts the largest concentration of multinational headquarters in Africa, cementing its position as a gateway to doing business on the continent. Since 2014, 2 out of 3 FDI projects in South Africa were bound for the Gauteng economy and its various subsectors. Gauteng holds the largest concentration of small-medium enterprises in South Africa. Gauteng has consistently proven its ability to attract foreign direct investment and remains a leader, not just in South Africa, but across the African continent. In 2022 alone, Gauteng was ranked 53rd globally amongst 202 tracked provinces, securing 56 identified FDI projects, the highest number for any African province. This performance outpaced other African hubs such as Cairo, Casablanca, Lagos, and KwaZulu-Natal, reinforcing Gauteng's position as the go-to destination for international investors. These investments span diverse sectors, including advanced manufacturing, ICT, finance, and agro-processing. Gauteng's robust infrastructure, talented workforce, and regulatory stability make it a natural choice for global companies seeking to establish a footprint in Africa. These achievements are not just numbers. They are a testament to the province's strategic importance, robust infrastructure, and visionary leadership. Gauteng is more than a province. It is a symbol of Africa's potential to compete and thrive on the global stage. While Gauteng is often recognized for its economic and industrial prowess, it is equally significant as a cultural and tourism hub. Tourism in Gauteng is not just about leisure. It is a vital contributor to the province's economy, creating jobs, fostering entrepreneurship, and building bridges between cultures. Some of Gauteng's tourism highlights include the Cradle of Humankind, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of the richest paleoanthropological locations in the world, offers insight into the origins of humanity. The vibrant city of Johannesburg, known as the economic capital of Africa, combines modernity with rich cultural heritage, bustling art scenes, and iconic landmarks like Constitution Hill and Soweto. Pretoria, South Africa's administrative capital, where historical landmarks like the Union Building coexist with vibrant forward-looking initiatives in governance and technology. Tourism in Gauteng contributes significantly to its GDP, while also enhancing its global reputation as a destination that seamlessly blends cultural richness with modern sophistication. Moreover, it provides an entry point for investors interested in leveraging Gauteng's infrastructure to expand into Africa's tourism and hospitality sectors. One of Gauteng's greatest strengths is its diversity, not just in its people, but also in its economy. The province has cultivated a multi-sectoral economy that offers opportunities for growth across industries. And key sectors include advanced manufacturing. Gauteng contributes 40% of South Africa's total manufacturing output, driven by cutting-edge technologies and access to skilled labor. This sector offers immense potential for investors seeking to capitalize on Africa's growing industrial base. Financial services. The province's financial ecosystem is anchored by the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and complemented by a range of local and international banking institutions, providing unparalleled access to capital and financial expertise. Retail and wholesale sector. Gauteng boasts the largest and most advanced retail market in Africa, driven by a robust middle-income population. This dynamic sector encompasses everything from informal retail activities supporting SMMEs to sophisticated world-class e-commerce platforms led by global giants such as Amazon and Walmart, alongside prominent local players like Shoprite Group. ICT and innovation. Gauteng is home to 3 of South Africa's top 5 universities, which drive innovation through collaboration with businesses and research institutions. This ecosystem supports startups, fosters technology-driven solutions, and positions Gauteng as a leader in the digital economy. Tourism and hospitality. As previously mentioned, Gauteng cultural and natural attractions make it a top destination for travelers, creating opportunities for investment in hospitality, entertainment, and supporting industries. Green energy and sustainability. Gauteng is committed to sustainability with increasing investment in renewable energy projects, green infrastructure, and climate-smart urban development. Looking ahead, Gauteng is setting its sight on new heights. In February 2025, the province will host the Gauteng Investment Conference in Johannesburg. This will serve as a platform to showcase Gauteng's potential, attract new investment, and solidify its position as Africa's economic powerhouse. The conference has ambitious yet achievable goals, securing investment pledges. The conference aims to secure at least 200 billion in investment commitments during the event itself, contributing towards Gauteng's broader goal of 500 billion over the next 3 years. Highlighting high growth sectors, delegates will have the opportunity to explore investment opportunities in sectors like advanced manufacturing, green energy, digital technology, and agro-processing. We'll also be fostering collaboration, so the conference will bring together government officials, private sector leaders, and international investors to forge partnerships that drive inclusive and sustainable growth, enhancing ease of doing business. Gauteng is working to streamline regulatory processes, reduce bureaucratic barriers, and create an investor-friendly environment that encourages long-term engagement. Driving sustainability and inclusivity, Gauteng is prioritizing projects that not only drive economic growth, but also promote environmental stewardship and social equity. At the heart of Gauteng's economic ambition is an exemplary commitment to inclusivity. Economic transformation is not just a buzzword, it is a necessity. Gauteng is focused on ensuring that the benefits of growth are shared equitably across all segments of society. And this includes uplifting small businesses, empowering historically disadvantaged communities, fostering skills development. Ladies and gentlemen, Gauteng is not just a province. It is a promise of growth, resilience, and opportunity. It is a province that has consistently demonstrated its ability to innovate, adapt, and lead. But the future of Gauteng and Africa cannot be built in isolation. It requires collaboration, partnership, and shared vision. Today, I extend an invitation to each of you, whether you are a business leader, a policymaker, or an entrepreneur. There is a place for you in Gauteng's success story. Invest in Gauteng's high growth sectors and be part of the transformation of Africa's economic landscape. Collaborate with our world-class institutions to drive innovation and create solutions that address global challenges. Join us at the Gauteng Investment Conference 2025 to explore opportunities, build partnerships, and shape the future of our continent. In closing, Gauteng stands as a beacon of what Africa can achieve. It is a province that embodies ambition, resilience, and progress. Together, we have the opportunity to unlock its full potential, and in doing so, drive economic transformation, not just for South Africa, but for the entire continent. Let us use this breakfast as a catalyst for action. Let us build partnerships that transcend borders and create a legacy of prosperity for generations to come. I look forward to welcoming you to Gauteng, where ambition meets action and the future is being built today. Thank you very much.
Let me invite our panelists for our session today. I'd like to call upon the ambassador of South Africa to Morocco, Ambassador Ibrahim Edris. Sir, welcome. Thank you, Ambassador. Let me also call upon Saki Zimtlaka, is the acting CEO of the Gauteng Development Agency. Saki, welcome. Let me invite Boitumelo Mosake. She's the CEO of the Development Bank of Southern Africa. And last but not least, I'd like to call upon Stembisa Dlamini, the CEO of Gauteng Tourism Authority.
So tell me.
You can go there.
Okay, let me just.
Thank you. Let's take a seat. Let me begin with you, Saki, perhaps. The MEC has laid the case for investing in Gauteng, but someone would say, Saki, you are talking about history. What we want to talk about is the future. Can I ask you to reinforce the investment case for Gauteng in a new era where challenges are multiplying and opportunities for investment are even greater than they were in the past?
No, thank you, Godfrey, and good morning to everyone. We're happy to be in Morocco. It's a really lovely place. We've enjoyed ourselves so far. I'll make maybe 3 points. The first one, in a conversation with Tumi as we're starting, I said there's an interesting number in South Africa. We've said we want investments as a percentage of GDP to be at about 25%. It's currently at about 15%, which if you look at a GDP of about $400 billion, that's about 60 billion. So we have a deficit of, at any given point, $30 to $40 billion. And that's not going to come just from government. It's going to come out of partnerships. So the Africa Investment Forum now, which again with Tumi and STEM, we're saying we want it back in Gauteng, has a theme about innovative partnerships for scale. So the scale of investment which we need in infrastructure is going to come out of these partnerships. And I think sitting in this room, I met several people who represent different countries who have interest in these kinds of investments. So we look forward into the partnership. So Godfrey, as a start, that's where I think the potential for growth is in investment in water infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, and we've seen a lot of IPPs in there. And then logistics and ICT infrastructure. We've had a boom in data centers that are coming up, and there still is a lot that can be done. The second thing that was interesting for me, and the MEC spoke about the cultural vibrancy of Gauteng. Yesterday we were driving around the city and I saw a theatre, and I said, this must be Zaha Hadid who designed it. And you know, the colleague from the embassy googled and said, actually you're right, it's Zaha Hadid. But for me, what that said is that this is a country that takes itself seriously. When countries put a lot of premium on culture, you can tell that they understand what people are about, what tourism is about, what culture is about, and what development is about. And South Africa represents that. I mean, we have some of the best football stadiums in the world, we have some of the best musicians in the world. So it's a vibrant culture, particularly Gauteng, where a lot of the activity, I mean, we say it starts in Gauteng. Pretty much most things you're going to experience in South Africa really start in Gauteng. So that's the place to be in. So beyond the hard numbers, which tell you that you have a market, because we have consumers, we have infrastructure, we have a platform where you can scale on whatever it is that you're trying to do. So you're not in a small, rural economy where there isn't real scope for development. So that, for me, is one of the real big investments to it. So we're really happy, and we have, Tumi said, well, you guys show the opportunities. I'm the one that's going to facilitate them. And I think that's part of the benefit we have in South Africa and in Gauteng, that a lot of the banks, a lot of the financial services are there that are the enabler for growth. So I'll leave it there for now, Godfrey.
It's not just the banks, right? It's some of the largest banks on the continent.
Yeah.
So we speak about Standard Bank, the largest bank on the continent by assets. We speak about Best Rank, the most valued financial services company on the African continent. Ambassador, let me come to you and invite you perhaps to lay the case from a national perspective when we talk about South Africa and we talk about the kind of issues and opportunities that it offers. Lately, our story has been around the shortage of power. Lately, that story has become a part of history. Why would anyone think South Africa, and why would anyone think in terms of investment in looking at the country at the bottom of the continent?
South Africa, you mentioned the energy problems. You mentioned the energy problems in South Africa. Fortunately, I think that is not something of the past, but we have overcome that. And you will have to also bear in mind that as recently as in the 1990s, I think South Africa produced almost 60% of the total output of energy on the continent, if not more. So with democracy in South Africa, prior to that we had an economy that catered for a very few. So in 1994, when Nelson Mandela came to power, the African National Congress, we had to expand our grid to the general population, and that created some problems. Also contributing to that as well, the economy grew very fast from the 1990s up to the early 2000s, so that exacerbated our electricity problems. I think that has been overcome for now, if I'm not mistaken, as what I've seen from the media. I'll be going back to South Africa next week, so I'll be seeing it firsthand. But so South Africa, I think we are ready for investments. I think on the continent as well, you may have seen or you may have heard in South Africa, we also now have a government of national unity, which many would think it is a disadvantage, but actually in the South African context, and particularly in today's time, that government of national unity was composed in a period of about 1 or 2 weeks, which is probably unheard of, because prior to that, it was the African National Congress Party that was in power, and now we have a government of national unity composed of about, I think it's 10 or 11 parties, or 9, I've just forgotten. And it seems to be working well. Investment interest has increased in South Africa to date. Our rand has sort of stabilized. It is one of the most frequently, what is the word now?
I will use the word most liquid.
Most liquid.
Of course, Johannesburg has the deepest financial markets on the African continent.
That is true. Of course, we are there's a close competitor in the Casablanca Finance City, but there's still a lot of areas for cooperation between South Africa and Morocco in that area. So South Africa, we're open for business. We are keen to have Moroccan investors coming to South Africa. And just, Godfrey, Program Director, South Africa's single biggest investment on the continent is actually here in Morocco. So that and other South African companies are also looking very keenly at Morocco. So there are many other additional opportunities. Together with Gauteng, our largest province, I'm also a very strong supporter of Gauteng, although I do come from another province, but that's another matter. But it has a very, very strong business case. And thank you very much. We need you. We need you to look very closely at Gauteng. There are many opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. I was also going to add that actually that GNU is 11 political parties. It's the most diverse government, I think, in the world. It will be interesting to see how it works and if it will finish the term. Boitumelo, let me come to you. You straddle, of course, that it's not even a divide. It's a relationship between the public and the private sectors. When you think about the opportunities that we are seeing in South Africa at the moment, can you perhaps share with the audience where you think most of those lie?
When I look at, for me, Godfrey, Gauteng is home. And I have seen this home evolve in terms of development over a period of time. When I think of from when I was a young girl, to where Joburg, where Gauteng is today. Gauteng houses 3 major cities of our country, that is Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Ekurhuleni, and we have seen such significant growth, in those cities over a period of time. And as an institution, that is our role. The Development Bank of Southern Africa is wholly owned by the South African government. And our number one priority is to support subnational governments. So that would be your cities. I mean, the first bond that was issued by the city of Johannesburg was anchored by the Development Bank of Southern Africa. So we, as our, as an institution, we are of the view that it is important to ensure that in building, our smart, climate resilient cities, we ensure that the basic services are in place, and that talks to water, energy, transport, and now what's also going to be important is digital inclusion. My brother touched on, the building of data centers in Gauteng. As an institution, what we do is we play along the infrastructure value chain. We plan infrastructure, we prepare infrastructure. As you all know, one of the biggest challenges in infrastructure is actually getting projects to bankability. We fund projects, we fund infrastructure. What is also unique to us as an institution is that we build infrastructure, we also maintain, because we are of the view that it is not only good enough to build new, but it's important to take care of what you have. Now, in terms of this value chain, the suite of value proposition as that we offer as the DBSA, this is the value proposition we offer to Gauteng, to actually ensure that we continue to support the aspiration, of Gauteng in providing access, whether it's access to energy, whether it's the road network that needs improvement, whether it's water infrastructure that needs enhancement. These are the areas that we provide the city support with. I mean, I look at where we've moved from the city center to building center that Godfrey touched on, actually providing facilities for the bulk infrastructure. We even have a new waterfall city. Godfrey, this is a new city that is a mixed-use development, even providing from high-end to low-cost housing as well. So when it comes to providing that enabling environment for investment, that's where we play a critical role as an institution to ensure that the city, the province is strengthened to ensure that that infrastructure is in place. So we provide that layer. The second thing that we also do is that we do not only work with cities, we also work with the private sector. Right. We work with the private sector to actually support infrastructure developments that are done by the private sector in the province. The recent program that we currently supporting is the embedded generation program, where the private sector can build their own generation capacity, and that is a program that we support as the bank to continue to enhance energy security for the province. The second one is the water reuse program, that the water partnership program that we have developed as an institution to actually create investment programs to support water infrastructure. And I mean, one of the facilities that we managed to secure, and this is a critical role that we play as an institution. When you look at the theme of the Africa Investment Forum is leveraging innovative partnerships for scale. One of the key programs that we have developed in the water reuse, where we've leveraged funds from the Global Climate Facility, to the tune of $235 million, where the $35 million goes towards project preparation and the $200 million goes towards investment. And this facility is totally, dedicated to actually strengthening water capacity. Why are all of these sectors that I have mentioned important? We do know that as a continent, there's increased urbanization. So it's important for us, and working, with the province, that we make sure that the province is ahead, of the game, in making sure that it creates that enabling environment for you to, as people move into the province, that infrastructure is already in place. When investments are coming into the province, that infrastructure is already in place, and that is a role that we do, that supporting role that we have, that we play as a development finance institution. So to all of you who are here, Gauteng is open for business, and we are definitely ready for you.
Put very eloquently. Thank you. Thank you, Boitumelo. I'm going to come back to you and ask a question on behalf of perhaps people with money in the room who might be thinking, okay, so you say there are all these opportunities. What about the returns? What about the risk we often hear associated with investing in general in Africa and perhaps South Africa? And Saki obviously will have to come in and talk about that a little bit as well. Oh, my mic is off. Indeed, I forget. Ste, let me come to you. So we have described Gauteng as this small province with a powerful punch. But at the same time, we've also spoken about the huge opportunities that we are seeing availing themselves there. So it becomes difficult to then say Gauteng and say culture, because we're thinking Gauteng is this concrete jungle, the three cities that have been mentioned. So where do you come in?
Thank you very much, Godfrey.
And what do you offer?
And what do we offer? And good morning to all that have come to have a discussion with us this morning. And Honorable Your Excellency Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Maybe let's put it in perspective, Godfrey. The MEC has already mentioned the importance of tourism in economic growth in general. And obviously Gauteng plays an important role in that activity in our country. So if you look at tourism's contribution to GDP pre-pandemic, just in South Africa, the direct contribution to the GDP was 3% and indirectly 9%. In fact, if you look at the number of jobs that the sector supported during that time, or the industry supported during that time, pre-COVID, we had about 1.5 million people employed within the sector. And out of that contribution, Gauteng's share is 26%. So it gives you a sense that whilst we're small geographically, we punch really way above our weight from a hospitality point of view. And largely because my colleagues have already spoken about how it is an economic hub. You've got the richest square miles, so we've got the infrastructure that supports all the sectors that are headquartered in Gauteng. So meaning that's that domino effect. So when people come in for business, it means they would have to consume one way or the other a tourism product, whether it's a hotel across the value chain, whether it's restaurants where people dine and enjoy the gastronomy and the cuisine of our province, whether it's actually shopping, where you have got 3, if not 4 major shopping centers that also supports the SADC region, because we do get a lot of visitors who are coming for personal shopping. So it's one of an important sector. One of the subsectors of the tourism economy that we play in as Gauteng is the business events. So earlier on, we were talking about Saki and we were talking about how we bring this conference back into Gauteng. It's an important factor because in here, the hotels are full. This hotel and other hotels are full. The people who are in the tour operating businesses have business right now. The food and beverage sector is benefiting. But also you've got people who ordinarily would not be working, coming in and being called in because of the number of delegates that are coming in. So it's one of that important sector. Already the MEC has mentioned that we've got the cradle of humankind. That's why we're saying everything starts in Gauteng. Yeah. Quite recently, UNESCO has now declared a couple of sites as World Heritage sites. Constitution Hill is one of them. Lilysleeve, one of that. Kliptown in Soweto, and one of our vibrant townships in Soweto. Is now declared as a World Heritage Site. So there are opportunities where we can look at how do we then expand and look at new products using that culture and heritage to actually now attract investors into our destination. A lot of data tells us that a lot of people, because of where we are at and the fact that we've got our sunshine, they would like to come in and visit. So there is an opportunity for new resorts that can be built in. We've got 5 regions within Gauteng. We've got the land, and we've got the support from the likes of your DBSA to prepare for those kind of projects. So there are those opportunities that we've now identified. But I think, lastly, as a comment, with the priority of looking at how do we then make also our townships, where the large part of our community live, vibrant and economic hubs, there are opportunities to actually start building these infrastructures so that we begin to drive economic activities relating to tourism and driving events into those townships, so that there is that economic activity happening in our township. I mean, we're hosting the G20 summit in Gauteng, which is quite big. We hosted BRICS the other time. So we've got a very healthy event calendar that assists in making sure that we can sustain the tourism businesses within the economy and obviously increase its contribution to the GDP.
Thank you, Ste. Thank you. Let me come to my question, Bochumelo Saki, around returns, around the risk that we've often seen slapped onto the continent. Yesterday, the African Development Bank President, Mr. Adesina, presented some very interesting statistics on default rates in the world. You would expect Africa to be sitting at the bottom, but the figures that he showed, from Moody's, by the way, not his own figures, from Moody's, show Africa is right at the top. I think the number that I saw was it 9.6%? Somewhere there. And when you looked at other parts of the world, it was much, much, much higher.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about someone who is thinking, I'd like to go there, but there's this story around the difficulty in one, getting good returns, 2, the risks associated with investing there. Then, of course, there's the currency risks and all these other things.
Okay. I think when it comes to the issues around risk perception for the continent, those remain, and it's a systemic thing, Godfrey. And I think that's why when you look at one of the key objectives when it comes to G20 is addressing the global financial architecture system, so that these elements can be dealt with. I mean, we did see that slide yesterday where Moody's Analytics showed that actually the lowest default rates is from the continent. So
1.9%.
Yes,
sorry,
1.9. So it's the lowest on the continent. So the perception and the reality is very, very different. And this is something that we continuously need to address. However, even with those aspects, Godfrey, the business case for investment in Africa remains lucrative. The business case for investment in Gauteng remains lucrative, because you can only imagine, if it is that number for the continent, let's say, what more for the biggest province you could say on the economic hub with deep capital markets, with local currency capability. I mean, when you look at all of those aspects, I mean, I think it is very, very, clear that those elements are really, mitigated, against when it comes to investing in Gauteng. We, as a development finance institution, we have not lost a single cent, in our investments, and that is just to show you.
Please say that again.
Please so we have not lost a cent, a single cent.
Sure.
So that resiliency, because remember, when I talk that we have not lost a single cent, it doesn't mean things have been smooth.
Sure.
It means even when there was difficulty, there was resilience, and I think that is what we need to appreciate about Gauteng, is that yes, you will get your returns, and it is also resilient to market shocks as well. Yeah. So for us, as a DFI, we will continue to really support creating that enabling investment environment for Gauteng, and I will emphasize and say it again, we are ready for investment.
Thank you. Thank you, Boichman. Saki?
Thanks, Godfrey. I think Ambassador may have mentioned this before. I mean, if you look at, to put differently on the default rates, the African continent now has the highest margins if you invest of every region in the world. So, and that's a risk-reward relationship. There's a huge backlog. I mean, Africa is the biggest amount of arable land in the world that's not fully developed. So there's potential. The roads, infrastructure, there's potential. And part of what governments have learned is they may not have equity, but they can give concessions. You build an airport, they get profits, and then they transfer it to government at a certain point. East Africa did a rail line across the same line. So generally, the continent has this. But if you look at South Africa specifically, and we look at the numbers typically until before COVID, because COVID had its own effect. In the period 2000 to 2017, which is about a 17-year period, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange grew at a compounded annual growth rate of 12%.
Sure.
So that tells you how profitable the companies are. Yes, there's a bit of concentration. You have bigger companies that have grown super well, but generally, if you look at the index, it's performed healthily. And one of the things that often makes projects expensive in the continent is if you finance them with foreign currency. So dollar, euro, finance projects, there is a cost to that. But because we have deep financial markets, you can fund a lot of projects locally. You don't need to bring external funding. The only time really where external funding is going to be competitive is if you go to the BRICS Bank. They launched a bond recently in South Africa. Their funding is a little cheaper, or if sometimes you use the Afrexim Bank or any other of the export credit insurance companies. But most projects you want to do in South Africa, at whatever scale, you can get local funding, and it mitigates the risks that you're going to have. So you're not going to get into a market where everyone expects that you fund fully what you're doing. But some of the development banks that are here, similar to what DBSA is doing, is that you need a lot more money to do the feasibilities. So the project prep is often where the real challenges are. So you get into a municipality, they need money for water infrastructure, but they haven't kind of done a bankable feasibility on how, if they get debt, how feasible the project is. And we've seen where people have been willing to put that project prep money, that some of these projects then get to a point where they can make sense. So So really, it's a market that's profitable. There are big businesses that are making money. So we're not saying come into an environment where no one is making money and you're going to make miracles. It's already there, and you can fund locally, whether it's DBSA, IDC, commercial banks, with deep capital markets. But the returns are there.
Absolutely. Ambassador, I'm going to give you a final opportunity.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Just to add on to South Africa, yes, we are hosting the G20 summit in 2025. It will be the biggest summit held on the African continent. As you know, 19 head of the largest economies will be represented there, as well as the European Union and the African Union. So we spoke about hotels. And so I think when we took the decision where to host the G20, obviously there were three possible, but I think Gauteng's, what do you call it? Gauteng's just had a very convincing case.
Sure.
Both in terms of tourism, the road infrastructure, airports, whereas Cape Town always spoken about as one of our main tourist attractions.
Yeah.
It perhaps does not have the number of airports, for example, as we have in Gauteng. So given that we're inviting the biggest and the most powerful economies in the world, they need to be able to fly in and out of South Africa at very short notice. And that is the type of infrastructure that our CEO had spoken about that is already existing in South Africa. Of course, in the coming years, we'll be looking at expanding on that infrastructure. We have, and so there are many other opportunities for the other organizations who have lots of extra cash to come to South Africa and invest. There are still many other opportunities. And just for our Moroccan audience, visiting South Africa, the visa requirements are pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not very difficult to get a visa to come to South Africa. It's very simple. I think we are trying to. It is available online already for Morocco, but we are not encouraging you yet to do it online, so that we still can at an embassy level intervene if there are any issues. Once you apply online, once your application is done online, it will be very difficult for the embassy to intervene because it will then be adjudicated elsewhere. But so if you come to the embassy for now, we will still be able to give you a visa within 5 to 7 working days. So our processes are very straightforward. Yeah. And we welcome all Moroccans to come and visit South Africa. I know that Europe is very close. But South Africa is not that far. It's also one plane ride. It might be a bit longer plane ride, but it's just also another plane ride. So South Africa is open both for tourism and especially for business. The continent, we have a very young workforce. There are a lot of opportunities. Currently now we are looking at Morocco. You are very good in the startup businesses, in the entrepreneurship. You don't have to almost be living permanently in South Africa. You can do it remotely while engaging South African companies, etc. So we're open, Godfrey, for business in South Africa.
It's been stimulating, and I'm going to ask one more indulgence out of you. We've prepared a short video just to showcase again, reinforce the message that we've been talking about. But before we do that, just wanted to ask the ambassador to give a final word.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. And once again, thank you very much for joining us today, and for our colleagues from Gauteng, DBSA, to be here as well. Godfrey has put me on the spot now. He said he got his visa in 3 days. So my colleague and I at Kateko will have to look at that and also see how we can speed up our processes here in Morocco to then also provide you that kind of service. But South Africa is open for business. Next year, well, even from today, we're open for business. Unfortunately, in South Africa, we do take it a bit slow over this period because it comes to Christmas and New Year. In Morocco, like Europe, you have your holidays in June to August. We have it in sort of end of December, our summer. So you're welcome to come and enjoy your summer in South Africa from the end of December until the middle of June, when the schools recommence. So South Africa, we're looking forward to receiving many Moroccan and foreign delegations on the issue of the G20, and I think you also asked about your business delegations. There will be about 150 different meetings from sort of January probably until end of November on G20. So definitely there will be a business component to that as well. And we will be in touch with you on those things. And on our sister who's mentioned the African initiative that could be sort of formalized in this G20, I think it is something that our president is contemplating together with his team, and perhaps even at the African Union level, that we would like to, he did say that this is going to be an African G20, and we really do want to make significant strides towards achieving our African continental plan of the Agenda 2063, and the G20 can be a big springboard to launch us into that. So it's an exciting period for us here in Africa. Morocco, of course, you will be part of this journey going forward, and many of our other partners sitting here in this room. So thank you once again, Godfrey, for expertly program directing this event for us this morning. And for our colleagues, I would also like them to see a bit more of Morocco. So while we're engaging after this, please do mention to them the other aspects of Morocco that they would like to see, and how we can cooperate further. But South Africa, we're open for business, and we're welcoming you to South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you. Please help me to thank Ste Boitumelo Saki, our Ambassador, of course, for an excellent panel. Thank you very much indeed. As I said, please do indulge us for a few more minutes as we play this video.
South Africa's richest province, Gauteng, is known as the economic powerhouse of South Africa and the gateway to the African continent, offering unparalleled investment and growth opportunities in several sectors. At the cutting edge of Africa's industrialization with an innovation-driven, knowledge-based economy, the Gauteng City region is positioned not only as a model for city region development globally, but a hub to an integrated and ever more prosperous continent. Strategically poised to unlock investment and expansion opportunities for local and international businesses, Gauteng can be your place for business in key areas such as trade and investment, economic infrastructure, business intelligence and research, business events, and tourism.
As you know, the airport continues to really be amongst the top airports in the continent. I think we are right there as number one. Cairo, I think, coming in at second place in terms of passenger numbers. But from a cargo perspective, OR Tambo International Airport still has those numbers. What this location can do for you if you want to manufacture and export your products through OR Tambo Airport to other parts of the globe, and specifically the African continent, where within a 2-hour radius from, whether it's Lusaka, Harare, you name it, OR Tambo International Airport is really well located to provide that service.
That is why when looking for new business opportunities, look to Gauteng, reigniting dynamic possibilities.